hear you.
Test. Hello.
Bring you up just a little bit.
What number is it?
Huh?
What number is it?
Number 1.
Okay.
So anytime I say bring you up,
All right.
it's going to be that one right there.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. We've had a little bit of chaos lately, but it's kind of settling in. We'll talk about that, which is great. Real estate settled in pretty good. We had a hot week last 7 days, and really the last 2 weeks. Our team put 22 under contract last week. We're at 18 for this week, and lots of stuff. Obviously, it's spring break. You had Easter holiday. You had all kind of people in town, so the market was rock and roll, and it's still doing pretty good. We'll talk about that today. Mortgage rates back up a little bit, but they have kind of hovered around just really the past week or so, kind of just bouncing around in the high sixes. So people still moving, which is great news. Thankfully, not back above 7, which is great news. We'll talk about that. We're really kind of just talk to also about how the real estate market responded to some of this financial chaos with the tariffs and the stock market and all that stuff. It seemed to normalize a little bit now. We've seen a lot of people moving money over from the stock market previously, right? Because that volatility has scared a few people back into real estate. They saw a 20% drop in a few days, and they want to get back into real estate as it came back up a little bit. Let's talk about that. Our investment firm bought another property this past week. It's 2 in the past 2 weeks, which is awesome. Both been condos, ironically. But I'll tell you, one was like a super interesting situation. We're seeing this a lot where older lady on a fixed income has just gotten hammered with these HOA assessments. And so we weren't realizing, and she mentioned she was kind of behind on it. Ended up going, she had all these assessments that they had just put on her for all this various stuff. And it made $12,000 of just stuff. And obviously there's a lot of people in that situation. And she just didn't want to sell it, just wanted to be done with it, wanted to move straight to Texas. But it's sad. You're seeing this happen across the board. Lots of condos. People on fixed income don't typically have an extra $12,000 laying around for some special assessments and issues and other small things in there. So talk about this. One thing we're seeing in the condo market right now. Also, our team is hiring. We have a real estate school. We get you a discount on your license up to 40, 50%. If you want, they run specials every single month, but also have a scholarship for people out there that look into getting real estate. Anybody that's a high-level individual, that you play at a high level, you have a high-level excellence, you want to join our team, the number one real estate team, Myrtle Beach, by like double. We're looking to add people. The market is obviously getting into that spring summer market. We're expanding as a lot of agents are dropping out of the market. We're expanding market share. And that's something we'll talk about as well. And today's show is really kind of just going back at things on the last 2 weeks show that we didn't really get a chance to get to. One of those was finally that Post and Courier article about why people are moving to Myrtle Beach, why people are choosing Myrtle Beach over North Carolina, and also why Myrtle Beach is fairly insulated in terms of long-term growth compared to some other marketplaces. So, for example, right, if some markets slow down to other areas, why people are still moving to Myrtle Beach. And we're seeing that lots of things like affordability, taxes on Social Security and retirement income, all these things are bringing in people continuously, which is why we're seeing so much growth. We'll kind of talk about that as well. Also, we mentioned a couple weeks ago that documentary that we filmed, a 30-minute documentary that we have about ourselves, our team, what we do, what makes us different. I'll talk about what things are in that, what 8 things we talk about in there that can help home sellers, home buyers, where to get that as well. And that's a key thing. If anybody with that investment fund, we're looking to buy more properties. We're buying really pretty much everything right now. We're looking for a couple main things. Obviously, single-family homes. We come in very, very fair price. We actually follow through. We actually close on it, unlike a lot of these fake investors on the radio. And they're just there to wholesale your property. They're never actually there to actually close on it. They hold you to the last minute and then back out there too before closing, leaving you hanging in a desperate situation, which you don't want to happen. But we also buy condos. some condos. I don't love them, but we still do them based on situation, scenario, condo type. The most two recent ones weren't on the ocean necessarily. I'm not against the ocean, but those are just some situations we ran into. But here's what I'm looking for personally too. Commercial building. Anybody that's looking to sell commercial building, reach out to me personally. I'm looking to buy that for ourselves and our team and our firm. And also some businesses, right? Some service-based businesses out there, anything like pest control, AC, anything like that. We're looking to capitalize on those and kind of really buy some ancillary businesses to what we do here to help kind of be more full service for our clients. Lots of great stuff we'll talk about today. We do the same thing we do every week for the past, I think, 15 years now on this radio station, just to help you get anything, everything real estate related, to help you just be more educated to make better decisions for what most people is our largest asset, right? Real estate. And so if you ever want to come back and listen to these shows, we stream them live on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. You can always go follow me on Facebook. Just follow Blake Sloan. We stream live on there. We stream on Sloan Realty Group. But anytime we come back, watch those. Lots of great stuff today.
For any new listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment. All of it together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly and give an overview of how they work, Blake.
Absolutely, Rick. And that's the whole reason why I did the show. It's the DNA behind why I did the show. It's really what my why is, and helping just help people, right? Because I see so many people pay the dumb tax. And the dumb tax is when you make dumb decisions with the largest assets. And I see it over and over and over and over and over again, like literally every single week. I was just looking at the notes here from just last week. I didn't update this week, but last week, I think we had Leon who had reached out to our office. And this is the thing I share, is because everyone makes this mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same, right? They don't want to pay any commission. They can do it themselves. So they want the cheapest commission, whatever it is. There's always like the three things we battle with, but you got to realize like this is your largest asset. And there's a lot of nuances, and it's a long sales cycle, and it's very nuanced in terms of all these small things that have to happen. And you got to make sure that you have someone who's very good at what they do, right? And so it's just like any doctor, any lawyer. If you charge the crime you didn't commit, or you're in a civil lawsuit where somebody's trying to take everything you own, the last thing you want some part-time attorney who's tried a few cases who doesn't really care or have a high level of excellence. And the last thing I want is the cheapest attorney, right? I want the absolute best attorney who specializes in that type of law, who can give me a competitive advantage, who has a great value and price, right? They don't have to be the most expensive, but I want somebody who's sharp and who's hungry and who wants to make sure they can get the result that we desire, and who feels confident they can do that. And you should, man, that same level of excellence with our largest asset. But most people don't realize it's a service-based business. So what determines the success or failure, it comes down to one thing only, and that's the agent that you choose, period. But for some reason, especially affluent people, tend to make this mistake over and over and over, thinking that all agents are just the same. And it could not be any further from truth. And just like a doctor as well, right? If you get charged, or if you have to get heart surgery, open heart surgery, I don't want a part-time doctor who just done a couple of surgeries, right? I want the absolute best, most obsessed with that type of medicine doctor who has lots of experience in open heart surgeries to help make sure that we can have the absolute best outcome possible, right? And so you want to think like that, because what makes or breaks the home sale is the person you choose. Why is that? Well, when you sell a property, it's 118 different variables from A to Z. That's a lot of variables for one single person to do, even like at all, much less do it at a high level, right? And so what most people realize is that if each one of those is handled correctly, it puts money in your pocket, property sells for more money. If anything's handled incorrectly, it costs you money, your hard-earned equity, and or the property doesn't sell. Worst case scenario, it sells, but you drop the price when you didn't need to, and you left $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on the table. Like the example I had here in the notes from last week's show, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago, Leon, right? He reached out to us. He had an amazing, unique property. It was like end of a cul-de-sac, multiple different properties on it. And he reached out to us about selling, but he was concerned about commission. And then he ended up going with a forcible owner, selling it himself. And he sold that property. I'll check out the numbers right here. The investor sold it to an investor directly without an agent, so he could save a 3 or 6% commission, right? For $630,000. Cool. Guess what? The next 2 days later, after they closed, guess what the investor did? They listed it with an agent on the MLS, and guess how much they listed it for? $890,000. It sold for $875,000 just 2 months later. So doing that, and having a nickel holding up a dollar, is what mom used to always say, is that the reality is he cost himself $245,000 of his hard-earned equity by just being too cheap and not actually have an expert help him this. And I see this like all the time, over and over and over. I gave you an example too last week about Harry. Harry's a great listener, a long-time listener, but he had listed he felt obligated a friend as his daughter's friend, and she listed property, new agent, doesn't know what they're doing. Look at it. The property was massively different in terms of the square footage, and I think it's like $200 a square foot, and that was 300 square feet off. And so you take that $60,000 in value that wasn't there when you're looking at price per square foot and how buyers look. There's all these things happen. So when I got in the business, like, look, there's got to be a way. Why is everybody failing? Why is there only 50% of properties actually sell? Even a decent market right now, you're seeing the same thing, right? 50% of properties are selling, meaning 50% don't sell after 6 months. And so the reality is you have to have a system process that is designed to get results. What most agents do is they do the 3 Ps. They promise you to get the listing. Number 2, they put it to MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're in the street trying to get the next listing. So they throw it against the wall and then see what sticks. And if they get 50% of listing sell, they do okay. And you as the seller do not do okay in those cases. Now, if you do the math on how many properties each agent sells per year, it's 1 per quarter, 4 homes a year. It's actually less than 4 homes a year. It's like 3.65. You take that, 1 home per quarter. If that agent's desperate and they're selling 1 home per year, what do you think happens when it comes time to negotiate? They throw the client under the bus in 2 seconds because they're just trying to survive and pay their next month's bill, their next month's MLS payment. And so the reality is you have to understand the most important decision that anyone makes is the agent you choose, and you have to make sure there's someone good and who's an expert. And so when I got in the business, man, like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I looked at what people did outside of real estate and what traditional brick and mortar businesses did. And we designed that in real estate and said, how do we have, instead of a generalist who's one person trying to juggle all these balls, if you look at how 90% of agents operate in North America, one agent juggles all the balls, all 118 different ones that has to happen A to Z. So they're doing buyers. Buyer comes in off a for sale sign, Zillow, whatever it is. They're working with buyers. You got to show them 30, 40 properties to get them to buy something. They're also trying to work with sellers, do listing CMAs. They're trying to do their marketing, their advertising, their administrative work. They're trying to do contract to close. And so all this happens is like having the same person at McDonald's do the front register, the drive-thru, and french fries at the same time. Very, very inefficient. So what I did, we flipped the business model upside down. We have a team of specialists where each person specializes in what they do. We have someone who's in inside sales. We have agents who are outside sales. We have listing specialists, buyer specialists, listing coordinator, closing coordinator. We have full-time videographer, photographer, all that stuff in-house. So we have a team of specialists. I can control those variables in-house to make sure we can increase the execution level, and also we can increase the speed in terms of how each of those pieces work together. And so I designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for 20% more money than traditional methods, and it works very, very, very well. I designed it. It's exclusive to us. We also have one for buyers out there because it's very difficult for buyers, even in today's market. We're called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distressed sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as home inspection to get you to that closing table successfully with the maximum amount of leverage. And so if you take anything from today's show, do not pay the dumb tax, right? Do not be the one that sacrifices your hard-earned equity by not understanding how to pick a real estate agent, by not interviewing and finding out what makes them different, and not understanding how to ask the right questions. So we'll take a quick break. Right back in a minute. We'll talk about those things here in a few minutes. Hey,
Sean Kennedy here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. And thanks for joining me today. A lot of real estate companies are making instant offers these days. What makes yours different from what they're offering?
Hey, Sean, that's such a great question. The massive difference is we actually buy your house. Most of those advertisements you hear, even on the same station, are wholesalers. They're just there to lock your property up at a discount price and try to assign it to someone else to make money off your hard-earned equity. Then they leave you hanging at the closing table if they can't find someone else. They never had any intention of closing. Most don't even have the money to close if they wanted to. We're local. We have billions of dollars, and we actually close the deal.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Find out how much demand your home can command right now. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, we can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for a home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan and sell it to the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market update. All kind of stuff happened in the market, and we'll dig into that. Two main things. Look at what happened in the last 30 days. We'll also look at what happened in the last 7 days. And so those are kind of the two main things we watch here. We talk about two types of numbers. The windshield numbers, which is what's happening in front of us. That's what closed the last 7 days. And we have the rear view mirror numbers. That's what closed the last 30 days. Because if it closed last 30 days, it went under contract 30, 60 days prior to that. It matters because what closed is actually what happened. Pending doesn't always happen, but if you want to keep a pulse on what's happening for pending deals, because that tells you real time what's happening out there. And so if you look at what's gone pending the last 7 days in our entire MLS, it's still rock and rolling. 509 properties for 196,235,000. So that's great news, because anytime you're at 200 million or more, and we're very close to 200 million right there, lots of stuff happening. And I think you'll probably see that bump up here next week after we have the full kind of Easter spring break, people in town searching, a lot of people looking, kind of see what's going on. Lots of big money too, right? One property at $6 million, which is really at Beach Drive in Myrtle Beach. 3 properties over $2 million. 13 properties over $1 million. We had one of those. 98 properties over 500,000, and just lots of big money still coming in here. And you're seeing a lot of that kind of move over. Cash, which you're seeing as well. Inventory. 1,648 homes, which is actually down a little bit. It was in 1,655 last week. And again, that comes when there's like a quick run on properties where people are coming down buying stuff. The run rate of properties going under contract is really outpacing the new listings. And so you'll see that bounce around. I think you'll probably see that bounce up to price 1,660 next week. If you look at last week's show, it was only 535 properties under contract for 201 million. So we're only about 5 million off, and only about, 25 properties difference, which is kind of where you'll see it bounce around. So still pretty much the same. We're coming to that spring market as well. Looking at the rearview mirror numbers of like, hey, what closed last month? I'll recap for anybody that missed last 2 weeks ago show. Single family sales up 10.7% last month, which is great news. Why is it up in March just all of a sudden 10%? If you remember, rates went back down to almost the mid 6s in January and February. We had almost 20-something basis points. It dropped in like a week period, and everyone jumped back in. Well, that increased pending deals, and guess what? They started closing in March, and so that's why you saw a bump there in terms of sales, which is great news. And it was like a little lifeline or shot of adrenaline to the marketplace, so to speak. You also saw refinances go up as rates happened down. The one thing that has been concerning me a little bit, though, has been prices. Median price down 7.5% from the same time last year, but it has declined 3 straight months in a row. So look at January, it's 392, February 385, March 365. So it went from 385 to 365 just between February and March, which is obviously a $20,000 drop in one single month, which is one of the biggest months drop we've seen in a very long time there. If you look at average sale price, same exact trend, except it's 4 months long. So if you look at in December, it peaked out at 510, January 501, February 490, and then February to March, it went from 490 to 465. So obviously a big difference there. It's very similar where you saw a sharp drop from 490 to 465. And so that's just something to kind of look at there. A $35,000 drop in one single month is obviously something to kind of watch out for. And that's because price is just a lag indicator. We've seen sales slow down the past few months, except for March, right? Higher interest rates, less buyers. We always know it's supply and demand, and price is always a lagging indicator overall. If you look at supply, which is the amount of homes for sale, is up. It's up to 4.9 months of inventory. And so if you look at that, the last time we were really at 4.9 months, you got to go all the way back a long ways. Going all the way back to, I'll tell you right now, October of 2019 was the last time we had that many properties on the market in actually 4.9 months. So that was a long time, back to 2019, right? Pre-COVID, kind of when things were happening. And right now, days on market, in terms of how many days it is, 105 days on market for a property, which is great because it was at 116 in February. The main problem that anyone faces, the only reason you would pay attention to this and kind of call me versus anyone else, if you look at the average showings per listing, the average listing gets 3.9 showings per listing, which is up. That's great news. But the reality is they need 12.0 showings to get a contract. And so You need 3 times the amount of showings that the average listing gets to get a contract, which is why most properties are sitting there and why your property is not selling if you are a listener and listed with somebody else. So that's something to keep listening and watch out for. You got to have somebody who can move that needle and get you the amount of showings you need so that you can find enough buyers statistically who want to pull that trigger. Overall condo market, again, taking a massive really hit. They're in the headwinds tremendously due to all these assessments and issues and insurance increases and a big flood of inventory really most recently, which is something we'll keep watching. So right now, sales for condos down 17% last month overall, 17.7 actually. Sales price, average sale price is down 9% overall. If you look, they're trending down for really the last 5 months. So November 245, December 241, January 236, February 229, and then down to 218 in March. So 5 months of straight decline in prices for condos, and then average sale price very similar with a 4-month decline. December 284, January 280, February 273, and then it dropped from 273 down to 249 in one single month between February and March. And so it's one of the sharpest 1-month drops we've seen in both residential sales, single family homes, and condos. In this case, $25,000 in one single month. And so we've seen a lot of people in condos who are trying to sell their condo, but what's happening is they tend to follow the market down. So if the prices drop for 5 months in a row and you slowly drop your price, month after month after month, as more condo competition comes in the market, you tend to follow it down and cost you more money, which is why you need an agent who can advise you the right way in the beginning. Look at inventory. There's 8 months of inventory for condos, which means it's a truly buyer's market out there. And the last time we had 8 months of inventory was all the way back in 2016. If you look right at August of 2016 was the last time we had this much inventory on the market. And so very, very, very long time ago, 9 years ago almost. So we're kind of looking at a headwinds for condos. If you're thinking about selling a condo, you probably might want to do that sooner rather than later, unless you want to hold on to it for a very, very long time and pay a lot of HOAs in that process. And so if you want to chat about that, reach out to me. I can advise you based on kind of what you got going on. We're very, very well tuned into condos, and we're still getting a lot of condos sold, even in very, very competitive buildings we'll see, or projects like River Oaks or something like that. We have a lot of success doing that because we can differentiate the property very, very well. One thing driving this obviously is interest rates. Right now, interest rates back up a little bit, 6.98% for a 30-year fix. Last week's show was 6.87. The week before that, though, was 6.97. The week before that, 6.63. That's when things were really hot. A 15-year fix, 6.35. A 30-year jumbo loan right now, 6.08. A 30-year FHA loan, 6.47. And a 30-year VA, 6.49%. We're hoping it'll bounce around and hopefully continue staying in that range. The good news is they really kind of finish up with a very positive trend. So we'll hopefully see that bounce down a little bit the first of next week. So if you want to know more how that works or any mortgage questions, anything real estate related, reach out, call me. We'll take a quick break. Right back in a sec with our Hot Buyers Alert.
Hey, WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
How many minutes are we at?
Here in Myrtle Beach, that agent-
How many minutes are we at?
Blake Sloan of Sloan
about
Realty
5 minutes.
If you need
Okay.
to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his
I'll give you a
guarantee.
2-minute.
Get this,
Thank
Blake
you.
guarantees to sell your home
If
at a
you're
price and
looking at-
deadline you agree to.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of, I think my eyes closed for the first. I'm just kind of like zoned out.
Without worrying about getting stuck with
Got going on this
There's
weekend?
simply no other agent
Nothing this
in the
weekend.
market who has a guarantee.
I got to go to Nashville next week, though, for a conference.
Sloan can offer you. So if you were looking to sell and buy,
Maybe. I'm supposed to fly back Friday. I'm not sure what time. Okay.
By Googling Sloan Realty Group, get Blake a
I've
call
gotta do
today
my,
and start packing.
daughter's
That's
ring
Sloan
ceremony
Realty
Friday.
Group.
Tomorrow, right? Or no, 2 days, right? Yeah.
Saturdays
Okay.
at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m. Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaBox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts.
Big moment for her.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome.
He presented her next registered nurse's ring.
That's pretty cool. Oh, that's it. Okay, it's for RN.
She's going to be a registered nurse.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that.
She's either going to be in pediatrics or she's going to be emergency room.
That's cool, man.
I said emergency room makes big money. You're going to see a lot of trauma.
I've heard about that.
I mean, if you can handle it, if you can stomach the trauma, then you're good. But I just don't know that on any given day, somebody comes in with their brains blown out. Or,
I've heard a few times it messes people up a little bit.
Provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new buyer, hot buyer alert, all kind of stuff going on right now. And we do this every week for, I don't know, the past 7 or 8 years. We just pay, hey, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Every other agent promises the world, says all these things. They're number one. And I'll just put my money where my mouth is and say, look, here's how many active buyers we have on our website, searching, actively, username, password, account. They're from all over, right? Like right now, people that are on our site that are searching to have an actual account. This is not hits. These are people that are already what we call buyers in waiting. And so if you ask what makes you different, Blake, than anyone else, is with most agents, they're selling 4 or 5 houses a year. They don't start marketing until the sign goes in the ground in your front yard. With us, I'm spending $100,000 a month every month before you ever called me to get buyers from all across the globe. And so like right now, we have 78,263 active home buyers, 78,263 active home buyers from all over. Right now, I got Eric Chavez from St. Paul, Minnesota. I got Paula Leonard from Cleveland, Ohio. I got Jordan Kowitz from Virginia. I got Marty from Hilton Head Island, obviously South Carolina. I got Anthony from Denver, Colorado, Dallas, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, York, PA, New York, which is like obviously Manhattan, Pueblo, Colorado, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, Concord, North Carolina. Here we go. Last one, Sibley, Mississippi. So we got buyers from everywhere because we spend massive amounts of money driving traffic from all across the globe so that we're able to increase demand and get you to the amount of showings you need because we have those buyers in waiting. So if you're thinking about selling, we need inventory. Really reach out to us, 843-808-SOLD. Lots of buyers right now. Anywhere from $250,000 to really to $4.3 million that are searching overall with that. So quick success stories. Brock owned a fantastic beachfront rental property in Pawleys Island, had private direct access, walkway to the beach. He recently made a decision that he wanted to sell and move to Tennessee and use the money from the sale to purchase property in Tennessee. He did not want to go through a traditional hassle of traditional real estate listings, have it be sit there for months and months waiting for buyers. He reached out to a few investors, quickly found they're only paying pennies on the dollar. Thankfully, though, he heard about us, myself, on the radio, because he heard about our guaranteed sold program. We met with Brock, showing how we already had hundreds of buyers looking for properties just like his, which is high-end, multi-million-dollar plus property. And so we came in, I designed a custom plan, launched our Globe Marketing Blitz, professional photos, drone photography, all that stuff. There's a virtual ID walkthrough with that. And within 1 week, guess what? We brought the buyer. We had a buyer come in that was already one of our buyers from our marketing. He's a CEO of a hospital in the upstate, working with one of our buyer's agents. Barron came in, boom, had it under contract within 1 week. Fantastic offer, super qualified. And now he's going to be able to close, take that money, and get maximum equity versus selling out to a lowball investor and move that to the property in Tennessee. And he did it in the same exact time period, which is great. Also, John owned a beautiful home in Conway, 1 acre, no HOA, had an amazing backyard with an in-ground pool, pergola, hot tub, all kind of stuff. But he made a decision it was time to downsize. He was getting older, just wanted less maintenance with his home. Thankfully, he's been listening to our radio show for a number of years. Big shout out to John. He knew exactly who to call first, right? Don't call anybody else and be the horror story. And if you're a listener, especially don't call anybody else first. But we met with John, designed a custom plan, launched a Globe Marketing Blitz, professional photos. In a few weeks, received fantastic offer on his property, right at full asking price. He doesn't have to worry about paying 2 mortgages and can downsize with maximum equity in his pocket, which is awesome. So a big shout out to him. Lots of great success stories. Like I said, we bought also a condo from late this past week who had just had the HOA just kind of hammer, and I was behind that. So one last minute. One thing I'll talk about too that just kind of look at overall is just why Myrtle Beach has been a big thing is really cost of living. We're still 32% cheaper than the U.S. average, which is crazy. So really one of the most affordable destinations in Myrtle Beach. This is why you're seeing so many buyers move here. And this is what I talked about in that Post and Courier article. It should be out any week here. Obviously, growing job market, retirement appeal is huge because it's one of the top 3 states people retire to because South Carolina does not tax Social Security benefits. We have $15,000 tax deduction on other retirement income for anybody over 65 and the nation's lowest property tax rate. So lots of great reasons people moving here. That's why we're insulated very, very, very well, in addition to the weather, climate, and quality of life. And so here's the deal. We're here to help serve. If you want your instant home evaluation, go to blakesloan.com. There's also a documentary that we shot 30 minutes long. It breaks down our team, a lot of big mistakes that people make that they have overall. 8 big mistakes consumers make. Wow, we have a proven system to get you the most amount of money. We sold 7,000 home sales for $1.5 billion. We break it all down in the documentary. Go check it out, watch it, share it with your friends at blakesloan.com. We'll see you next week.